let's do a little bad beats, bad bets, and bad for the books. A recap of what just happened over the weekend in football action. And we'll start with some bad beats from Saturday. Look, if you had Wake Forest plus 2.5 against North Carolina, that was pretty brutal. Demon Deacons lead the whole game, blow the lead in the cover in a disaster fourth quarter. Wake Forest plus 2.5, end up losing by 3. That was tough. Clemson now has 2 covers this season, and both of them are absolutely brutal for their opponents' backers. First, you get a defensive touchdown against Florida State with no time on the clock. And then Saturday, -4 at Louisville. They're trailing the whole game. Malik Cunningham gets hurt for Louisville. He came back, but he wasn't the same. Clemson gets a fourth quarter rally, including the covering touchdown with 2 minutes left. A first down, they would have taken a knee. Instead, he punches it into the end zone. Clemson gets the money. Tough beat for Louisville backers. And this was maybe the weirdest non-bad beat of the weekend. All right. Oregon up 10 in the closing seconds against Washington. They're supposed to take a knee. Instead, they run a play and they pound it into the end zone. And that touchdown is going to kill all the under bets, as meaningless a touchdown as it gets in the closing seconds. But then it gets overturned on replay. The clock starts running and it runs out before Cristobal can run another play. So there's no bad beat there. But the quote after the game, those bleeping guys right there, they represent everything that's wrong with football. So when you kick their ass, you let them know it. He was really mad at Jimmy Lake and company. And sometimes that can cause a brutal beat. Didn't in this instance, only because it got overturned on replay. In the NFL yesterday, well, let's see. The Ravens had time of possession, 46 minutes to 23 minutes. They gained 500 yards of offense, outgained Minnesota by 150 yards. They were on the right side. They were down double digits early, but they led by 7 in the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter. -6, -6.5 all week, up to -7 on game day. 4th and 9, 1 stop to stop Minnesota. Instead, somehow they played off coverage on Jefferson, and it ended up being a touchdown. The Ravens get the win in overtime. No cover, tough for Baltimore backers. And last but not least, the Chiefs completely dominated Green Bay. Jordan Love did nothing. KC with no turnovers, but they had more 3-and-outs in one game than they've had all year. And can't be too mad when the other team puts together one scoring drive late to cover. And then, of course, the clock runs out with you taking a knee just out of field goal range. Yeah, tough if you had Kansas City. Not the first time you've had a tough beat with the Chiefs this season. When it comes to bad bets, well, let's see. There was nothing but Alabama money on Saturday. Nobody bet LSU. Crimson Tide up to 29.5. The Crimson Tide don't even get to 29.5. LSU win wire to wire, or cover wire to wire to say. Florida took the money against South Carolina, but up to -20.5. That's the best I've seen the Gamecocks play this year. Gators were 20.5-point favorites. They lose by 23. That was a bad bet. And all the money came for Baylor, bet up to -7.5, I should say. TCU just fired their coach. Well, firing the coach fired up TCU. The Horned Frogs won outright. The Baylor money, bad bets. And make no mistake about it. We talk about the weeks where the books get clobbered and clocked and whine and complain. Well, yesterday was the best Sunday of the year for the house, no question. Bad bets. The Bills bet up to -14.5 against the Jags, lose outright. The Saints bet up to -7 against the Falcons, lose outright. The Cowboys bet up to -10 against the Broncos, lose outright. The Texans bet down to +3.5, +4 against the Dolphins, lose by 2 scores. The 49ers +3 to -5.5 against Arizona. All the money came on the under in that game too. Wrong, and all Rams money in the late game against Green Bay, and that too. Against Tennessee, and that too was all wrong. Bad for the books. Well, there was a couple on Saturday. Cal was missing half their team, including the quarterback, Chase Gabers. Opened -13. They closed -7. Arizona snaps a 20-game losing streak with a win over Cal. That was bad for the books. The Air Force Army under, we talked about that on the show last week. Bet down as low as 37, was scoreless at halftime. Went to overtime, tied at 14. Didn't get a bad beat for underbettors in this one. Only one team scored in the extra session. Lands 35. Nobody bet the over. And, of course, nobody bet Rutgers. Wisconsin's a hot team in November, but up to -13 on the road. They won 52-3. Bad for the books yesterday in the NFL. Not that much. I mean, there was a wise guy move on Atlanta, New Orleans over. 41.5 up to 43.5 on game day. That cash, that wasn't good for the house. And nobody bet Carolina, even with McCaffrey back. Sam Darnold continues to see ghosts against the Patriots defense. Pats win and cover there, but by and large, those were the only 2 really bad games for the books yesterday, and one of them wasn't even that bad. So, big weekend for the house, Prez. there's your bad beats, bad bets, and bad for the books. Back to you, my friend.